Alright guys, I got a couple of hubs here that I figured I'd pull one out of the box and show you guys what's going on here with the assembly and what you should be doing with this setup here. Yeah, this is a new Conmet 10082007. This customer, we're putting kingpins in his truck here in a couple days, Friday, and he wanted to go ahead and put new steer axle hubs and brakes, everything on the front end. So he knew he's good to go on everything. Truck's got over 1 million miles on it. Hubs wear, bearings wear. These aluminum hubs, you can put races in them, new races. But the problem with these aluminum hubs is that aluminum hubs, and you knock the races out of them, okay, they're pressed in, okay? Now the old iron hubs, you can beat the races out, put new races in. These aluminum ones, they're pressed in, very tight fit and very precise. And if you beat them out and beat new ones in, there's a chance that that race could spin inside the hub, okay? The race should not spin in the hub. You can weld, beat a weld around the races and knock them out. It'll shrink them down where you can knock them out easier. And you can freeze the new races and get them set in there and all that. I don't get into all that, mostly liability reasons. If that race does come unseated and spins in the hub, that creates a lot of issues. And typically by the time the labor to pull the hub off, to do all that, remove the races, put new races in. If the truck's got over 1 million miles on it and the wheels have been off a lot, the threads and everything on the wheel studs are most likely stretched and need to be replaced too. So 10 studs, you're looking at $100 there. You're looking at around $200 to do the bearings, another $50 for the wheel seal, and then the labor knocking it all out and replacing it. When for $400 and change, I get a complete new hub. Okay, the other thing with a hub, so with a new hub, you get the new wheel seal, bearings, races, new hub, new studs, exciter ring, and everything. These hubs, through all the heat and cool cycles, okay, this needs to be true and perfect and round and not wavy. With all the potholes and everything in the roads and stuff, these hubs take a beating along with their wheels. Wheels don't last forever. We'll talk about that another day. All right, but right here on the hubs, you see these flanges that are sticking out here. That's for your hub piloted drum and hub piloted wheel. The more times these have been on and off, and the installer putting your wheels on or brake drums and stuff, or if they've left them loose and it eats these up some, the wheel and brake drum will not be centered up on the hub. Okay, so these wear. Oftentimes we find these broken off. We'll find one broken off and a lot of wear in a couple of them and everything. We know then that this thing is not the hub piloting drum and wheel is not mounted up on there properly and round, okay? So we have that, and then we have the warping of the hub and everything else. But on these Conmet loaded hubs, they come, wheel seal in them, inner bearing is in, right? And then we have the outer bearing and the cone that's in there. So when assembling a new hub on a truck, or if you're assembling the used one that you took off, you replaced a wheel seal or something on it. If you're putting new hubs on, or you have replaced wheel seal on the other hub, if everything is good, bearings are in spec and all of that. If it has one of these cones here, and to check the cone before you're going to put it back in, you feel these edges right here, both sides. These are nice and smooth. This is a brand new one, came in this hub. Okay, you will find these on your steer axles, drive axles, and also on trailers. Okay, so this cone, you would take this, we would pre-lube the inner bearing with oil, not grease, oil. We don't put grease in oil bath hubs. You get this up over the spindle, then this cone goes in over the spindle, okay? Slides in over the spindle. And then your outer bearing If you're reusing bearings, you want to check them, make sure there's no pits or anything, and same thing within the races. No pitting. We would soak this with oil, hub oil, pre-lube it, spin it around on our hands, then your outer bearing goes in. Now, this truck is going to be getting a set of new nuts on it also. So when I put a new hub on, and we're going to be replacing the nuts and everything up there, this is a Conmet preset plus nut system. Okay, this washer right here with that assembled like it is, bearings pre-lubed. This goes up on over the spindle. The spindle has a big flat groove on it on the FF. The FE has a notch cut out in it, machined in, but that will go on. And then this nut goes on. You tighten the nut down, okay? See how this nut fills the entire void here, okay? That gets torqued to 300 foot-pounds on the steer axle with that nut. You do not back it off. You torque it to 300 foot-pounds. Once you've got the nut torqued on the spindle, you will line up, look for one of the holes, because you can see these notches. So this is on the spindle. Then the nut goes on and gets torqued, okay? And say it's like right there and none of these three are lined up quite right. You do not want to back off. You want to turn it just a little tighter to get one of them to line up through the hole. Once one of those is lined up, then the clip goes in, okay? The clip feeds in through the hole of the nut, through the washer on the back, and then you take your fingers, you spread these, and you seat them. This is machined all the way around where this clip goes in, and now this clip cannot come off. So when this is together and it's on the spindle and torqued to 300 foot-pounds, this nut system also has this spiral clip you can see here, okay? Inside the hub right here, inside this lip, is machined. There's a groove in there. Then you will separate that out, get it started, and work it all the way around until it is seated in that groove. That's with the plus nut system. But you torque it to at least 300 foot-pounds and you do not back it off. Next, if I'm working on a truck that has the cones and we find that it was improperly installed, or we're doing a wheel seal, we're putting the cone back in, but we're going to use one of these nuts when we take one apart. And say it has the double nut, or it has the nut that has the little clips on the side, the socket has to be on the squeeze together. I'll show you guys one of those later. But it has the little tabs that stick up and the little holes on those nuts. Those are dangerous. We find the tabs broken all the time. So this nut right here, these are made by Temper Axle Products, okay? Temper Axle, this is an FF. But see how the side of this is machined off? That is for the jaws of the Dr. Preload tools to be able to reach around when it's mounted on the spindle and put the pressure preload on the bearing face, and then you reach in and hand tighten this, and then you take the tool off once it's all together. You see those like teeth inside there, okay? And also up in there, there's a machined groove right here on this outside edge is machined right there. So we're going to also torque that to 300 foot-pounds if the cone is in here. Once it's torqued to 300 foot-pounds, okay, we will line this up. This flat part here goes up over the spindle on the flat part of the spindle and lines up in this nut You make sure this top part is inserted up in here, and then you come in, it's locked in, you squeeze these tabs and they lock in behind. All right, now we know that is locked. The FE style nut, this locking mechanism here is keyed and goes into the spindle, has the same deal here with the teeth, but the FE is a finer threaded nut, where this is more coarse with the FF, but it clips in the same way. If we are doing one and we find loose bearings or doing wheel seal or something on it, and the cone is not there, sometimes I will replace them and put the cone in, put a new cone in if it's a Conmet hub, okay? If it's not, then we're doing something with it. With the hub up on there, bearings pre-lubed, outer bearing in, I'll use one of these nuts. We'll tighten it down, and we will torque this to seat everything to 200 foot-pounds while we grab a stud here and we rotate the hub assembly on the spindle with this torque to 200 foot-pounds. We'll do that at least 3 times, 3-4 times to seat everything. Make sure that the wheel seal is seated up on the flange of the spindle and bearings are seated and all that. Once we've done that 3 or 4 times, I will take this nut and I will back it off, okay, half a turn or so. Loosen it up without touching the hub or anything. Then I set my torque wrench to 40 foot-pounds with a bare hub, no wheels or anything on it. Set my torque wrench to 40 foot-pounds and I turn this, click, 40 foot-pounds. We lock it down, we put the clip in, we leave it. We do not back off. If the wheels are on it on a steer position, and the wheel is on without the cone, we will torque it to 50 foot-pound as a final torque setting. If it's duals, it's more. If it's a wide single, it's more if the wheels are on and you're adjusting a bearing. But that we do not back it off a quarter turn or none of that stuff. We like a slight preload on the hub assembly. Now we'll talk about the hubcaps. We've talked about the nuts. We'll talk about the hubcaps. Whenever I take one off, if it's got RTV and silicone and crap all around it, we clean it up off of the hub. I take these and I throw them in the garbage can. I'm not cleaning all that shit up off of these, okay? We're gonna use a gasket. I'm not using silicone. We're gonna put a new gasket with a new cap with new bolts. These come in the kit with new bolts. If I got one that doesn't have new bolts, I carry the bolts with me. And we're gonna put this new hubcap on, okay? This is a CR1612. Something about these hubcaps. These hubcaps, over time, there is a plate inside here in the middle of that. You can see where the steel is here, okay, around the holes. But these will get warped. And all over time, these hubcaps will get cracks and they'll get faded real bad, dry rot and everything. There is a plug on these. Takes a 1/4 inch Allen. When they're new, they're easy to turn out. There is an O-ring on these right here. There's an O-ring, okay? So you can fill or drain these by taking this out with the truck jacked up, put it to the bottom side and drain it out, bring it back up to the top side to refill it. All right, so if you're replacing the caps, you want to make sure these are tight when you put them in. It's just a plastic, so you're not going to go crazy with it. You're just going to tighten it up. Pull this cap out of here. If you look at this hubcap, get this to focus. Maximum oil level, okay, is this top ring right here. Okay, not up here, not up there. It's that top ring. This bottom ring right there, at my fingernail, is the low level. We want it somewhere in between these two lines. Okay, we do not fill the hubs. We do not fill them all the way up to the damn hole. That's too much oil. It'll cause you wheel seal failure. All right, so if your caps are looking rough or you can't see through them, to check your oil level, replace the caps. If they're faded out really bad and all that and cracked and you see kind of where it's warping around in here, just replace them. Man, these things are cheap. They're a dime a dozen. Another thing on these plugs that go in the fill hole. You see these plugs? These are vented, okay? It's this breathe. So if you were to take this cap right here, you took this cap and blow through it, you'll feel air coming out the other side. All right? Here's another one. This is one for a trailer. Okay, the aluminum one with this plastic window. Same thing here. If this were a steer axle, the cap is just smaller diameter. Okay? But add at the bottom line, full is the top ring. We don't fill to the top of this. That is too much oil. If it's not at least somewhere here in the middle, you need to add a little bit. If you don't see oil in there, you need to have it checked out. I don't care for these caps, these aluminum ones, the Stemco or whatever brand. They have a gasket in behind here, all these little screws. This little window right here, they crack and get spider looking and faded and sunbeat. And if this were to crack on you while you're going down the road and come apart, you're losing all your hub oil. And these caps that are in the Stemco ones, if you're using that style, whether it's on the steer or a trailer, look at this cap. See that little hole in the middle? And back here on the other side? These caps, even that other black one, should be pliable, okay? If you have these on your steer and they're all faded really hard, they're more pink than they are red and everything, all right, replace them. You can get just the caps for the steer ones and the trailer ones. So that hole, when I walk around trucks, probably 80% of them, on either cap, I will see that the hubcap is covered in road grime and grit and grease and oil and everything, and just covered. And the vent hole is covered. Okay, these are not easy to clean out like these are. These, you just replace it. These here, if you look on the side, you'll see that they're on the side, straight across. You can take a paper clip or something and run it through here, okay, out to the other side, okay, see how I did there? And clean this gook out of here, spray a little brake cleaner or something in there. But these are cheap. I recommend that you just replace them. Keep 2 of them in your side box and replace these, because these should be soft and pliable also, not hard, but they need to be able to vent. But back to the little red one, like the Stemco ones. Pull the cap out, right? Clean it. If it's very hard and there's no flexibility to it, get rid of it. Get a new one. But if they're good, that little hole right there, take a paper clip, stick it in that hole, and run it through. If you can see it there. Okay? Run it through there, twist it around, pull it out. Put these back in. Make sure your hub oil is good. All right? When these are caked up with grit and grease and everything on the outside, and they can't breathe, it causes wheel seal failures on the steers and on your trailers if it can't breathe and can't vent. When the truck's going down the road, that hub is spinning, the oil gets hot, and it builds up pressure inside the hub. When it can't vent, the oil and the air is going to go to the path of least resistance, which is usually the wheel seal. So to cause a wheel seal failure. On a drive axle, if you look at your differentials, the front one and rear one, somewhere around the pumpkin, on the side of the pumpkin, like on the rear one, it's typically over here on the right side. On the top of your axle housing, you'll see like a hose coming out off of a thing and coming down the side. Dirt daubers and all, if the truck's been sitting, love to build nest in them bastards, and it'll be caked up and can't breathe. So when your differential housing cannot breathe on the drive axles, it'll cause wheel seal failure, okay? the fluid and the air pressure is going somewhere. It'll cause a wheel seal failure. So make sure those vents are clean. If you're having repetitive wheel seal failures and everything on the spindle and everything looks good, it could be that your vents are clogged and causing the wheel seals to fail. We see that often, but more than anything, we find that somebody put the hub assembly on the spindle and left the bearings loose. That's why we preload the bearings. That's why we preload the bearings. We preload the bearings when we put this up on the spindle, even on a drive axle, whatever. We preload them. Bare hub, any position, Class 8 truck or trailer, bare hub, 40 foot-pounds, final setting, no back off, after you have done the preload procedure and seating procedure, okay? Final torque, 40 foot-pounds. If you have wheels on or something and you have a loose bearing, you find it, and you want to check it, you can call me. I can walk you through what we do to do that, and the setting depending on whether you have duals or wide singles or just a steer up there by itself. We have a different setting that has been working for probably 40 years or better without failures. That's the biggest thing, without failures. So if you guys do that, if you have questions on the wheel ends, hit me up. If you have a double nut system, you would torque that inner nut to the same thing, 300 foot-pounds with the cone. Okay, but here's the thing that most of you don't bother look at. All this stuff comes with these. Now, I don't need to read this, but I'll see if I can show you guys up here. Your hubcap bolts get 12 to 16 foot-pounds. Very little torque on there. Right here, one-piece spindle nut. I'll post that. Y'all can pause and read it. Gets torqued to 300 foot-pounds. Okay? On a little medium-duty truck, 150 foot-pounds, but it's a smaller hub in the whole assembly. Here's on the double nut. 300 foot-pounds, outer nut 200 foot-pounds. I don't use the double nut stuff. I throw that shit in the garbage. All right? I don't like it, I don't use it, and I'm not gonna use it. So if you're bringing a truck to me and you want it done right, I have to warranty this, okay? So when I do this work, right, I have to warranty it. It's on my insurance if there's a failure. I'm gonna warranty it if there's a problem. I don't wanna be gone next week because I reused a double nut system and then you had a problem and you went somewhere and they put it back together and didn't fold the flange over, but it's been within a year and a half and you had something done and they forget to bend the flange over to lock it down and all that. I just get rid of this stuff, okay? To do it right with good stuff is not that expensive. So if you're bringing it to me and you have the double nut system, or you have the one with the socket has to be up over to release the little tabs inside there, that's not going back on. We find those broken all the time, all the time. All right, so I'm not going to reuse them. So if they're on there and I'm not tearing it down, I don't care. But if I tear it down and we're doing anything with the hubs or bearings or anything, that nut is getting replaced with either the Preset Plus or one of our temper axle nuts. I got them for all the different axles. All right, guys. And if you have the cone, steer axle, 300 foot-pounds. With the single nut like this or the Preset Plus. A drive axle with these back here with a Preset Plus, 500 foot-pounds. Okay? That's what they get torqued to on a drive axle, 500 foot-pounds. Do not back it off. We find these with the cones in them, with these in there, all the time. When we jack it up, we can reach in and spin the nut off by hand. So we know that that was not torqued to at least 300 foot-pounds. If this is in there, 300 foot-pounds, do not back it off. I cannot say that enough, because we find it all the time, that it has the cone in there and the nut was put on, they torqued it down if they went through that procedure, and then they backed it off a quarter or a third of a turn or whatever the hell they thought was good. with the cone in. The information is out there, guys. We know it. I don't have to read the instructions every time. I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these. Okay, I know what these need to be torqued to. I know what to feel for if they're worn. I carry all the parts with me in the van, so if we're working on one, we have it. So you can leave knowing your stuff is done right. But I wanted to go through that, guys, because I had a lot of comments on why I'm having constant wheel seal failures and everything. A lot of it could be when they're putting this hub up on the spindle, that they're nicking the seal, or they're getting it up there and they're letting the hub fall down right onto the spindle instead of getting it up there and then getting the cone and outer bearing in. They are not keeping pressure on it and keeping it steady. They're letting it wobble around. Many reasons for a wheel seal failure. I mean, they do wear out over time, but if you're having a constant problem, there could be a problem with the spindle. Your bearings and races may be worn beyond tolerance. The spindle may be worn and it's leaving it too loose. But most of the time, wheel seal failure we find is they were just too loose. And that causes a wheel seal failure. Now, brakes are soaked and everything else, that's another thing. I'm not putting your soaked brake shoes back on the truck. I don't care if you bring me 5,000 gallons of brake clean or any cleaning solution. Soaked brake shoes are not going back on the truck. You should not be putting them back on. If you have a mechanic that says, oh, I'll just clean them up with brake clean and put them back on, fire that guy. Don't ever go back there. You never put saturated brake shoes that have been saturated in oil back on a damn truck. You don't do it. Okay? They will catch on fire, and once they start, you're not stopping it. It's not worth it. A set of brake shoes is 60, 70 bucks. Come on, guys. Okay? You're going to burn the damn truck down or trailer down and put soaked brake shoes back on. This boy's not doing it. So, all right, guys, y'all have a good one. We'll talk at you later.